75% of programming tasks, 70% of customer service tasks, and 67% of data entry tasks. That is how much of your job AI can already do. Not in 5 years, right now. If your response to that is, I should probably figure this out, you're right. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to do about it. No panic required. We've spent the last 3 years helping professionals integrate AI into real workflows. Not playing with chatbots, building actual systems that keep humans in the driver's seat. Let me walk you through what happened in the last 48 hours, because this was not a normal week. The first story I want to share is from Anthropic, the company behind Claude, that published a working paper. They measured real AI usage data across hundreds of occupations. Not theoretical, actual usage. Computer programmers, 75% of their tasks are now AI exposed. Customer service reps, 70%. Data entry, 67%. Medical records, also 67%. And here's the part that surprises even me. The workers most exposed to AI are not the ones you would expect. They're more likely to be female, they are higher paid, they are more educated. This is not a factory automation story, this is a knowledge worker story. The second story I want to share is about Block, Jack Dorsey's company that cut over 4,000 jobs, nearly half the workforce. And Dorsey did not blame a recession. He did not blame bad earnings. He said, and I quote, AI tools paired with smaller, flatter teams enable a new way of working. And I fully agree. And what happened? The stock jumped 23% the same day. Wall Street loved it. The third story is about NBC, which polled 1,000 voters. 56% said they have used AI in the last 2 months, but only 26% view it positively. 46% view it negatively. People are using a tool they don't trust. Think about that for a second. More than half of Americans are using AI and almost half of them feel bad about it. That gap between usage and trust, that is the real story here. But here's the thing nobody's talking about. The Anthropic data had a second finding that changes the entire conversation. I will get to that in a minute. Now, every influencer and their cousin is posting the same advice right now. Learn AI or get left behind. Super helpful, right? That is like telling someone who is drowning to just swim. Here's the actual problem. It's not that people are not using AI. 56% already are. The problem is they have no system for how they work. Period. They open ChatGPT, ask a random question, get a mediocre answer, close the tab, go back to doing things manually. And by the way, this is the exact same cycle that has played out with every digital tool for the past decade. Notion, Trello, Evernote, Asana. People downloaded the app, used it for 2 weeks, could not figure out where it fits, went back to paper. Now it is happening with AI. Different tool, same pattern, same results. You know why paper keeps winning? Because writing something down is frictionless. Zero learning curve. Grab a pen, write it down, done. But the real friction is not capture, it is retrieval. Try finding that one note from 3 weeks ago. Try seeing how your 5 active projects connect to each other. Try getting a holistic view of everything on your plate so you can actually prioritize. That is where paper falls apart. And that is where most digital tools fail too. Because people never build a system for how information flows through their work. Now, remember that second finding from the Anthropic study I mentioned? Here it is. Despite all those scary exposure numbers, they found no rise in unemployment for AI-exposed occupations. None. Zero. But, and there is a but, they found a 14% drop in new hires for workers aged 22 to 25 in highly exposed roles. Companies are not firing people, they are just not hiring new ones. The door is closing quietly. So if you already have a job, you have a window. But that window is getting smaller every quarter. The question is, what do you do with the time you have left? And the answer is not learn AI. The answer is something most people have never done. Okay, here is what actually works. And I'm going to be direct about this because I see the same mistake over and over again. The people who will thrive alongside AI are not the ones who learned the most prompts. They are the ones who build a system for how they work before AI. before any specific tool. Let me ask you something. Can you tell me in the comments below right now what your actual daily workflow looks like? Not your job title, not your responsibilities, the actual steps. Where does information come in? How do you decide what to work on? Where do things get stuck? Most professionals have never mapped this out. They react to whatever lands in their inbox. They switch between 10 apps with no logic for which tool does what. They have a vague sense of being busy, but no clear picture of where their time goes. That is the gap. You cannot optimize what you cannot see. And you definitely cannot hand it off to AI if you have never defined it yourself. If you do not know your own workflow, AI cannot know it either. Once you understand what you actually do, the next step is building a system around it. And this is where people get it backwards. They pick a tool first. I will use Notion, I will use ClickUp, I will use Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini. Then they try to force their work into whatever the tool does. That's like buying furniture before you have a floor plan and end up with a living room that does not make sense. The system comes first, always. How do you capture information? How do you process it into decisions and tasks? How do you execute? How do you review and improve? Answer those questions with pen and paper if you want. The tools come after. And I know this sounds simple, but it is the step that 95% of knowledge workers skip. They go straight from I feel overwhelmed to which app should I download? Then they wonder why nothing sticks. This is what I spent most of my time teaching. Together with my co-founder Paco Cantero running multiple businesses, we've built a methodology called ICOR that walks professionals through this entire process. Input, control, output, refine. It is a complete productivity system that starts with understanding how you work and builds outward from there. And here is the part that connects to everything we have been talking about. AI fits into the refine stage. The stage where you take a working system and make it faster, smarter, more automated. When you have a system and you add AI, it becomes a force multiplier. It takes something that works and accelerates it. When you don't have a system and you add AI, you get the same result as every other tool you have tried and dropped. 2 weeks of excitement, then back to the sticky notes. The tool was never the problem. The missing system was. When Jack Dorsey says smaller, flatter teams, what he actually means is fewer people who each have better systems. The 4,000 people who left Block were not all bad at their jobs, but the people who stay are the ones who can do more with less because they have built a system for how they work. AI just makes that system faster. Here's what bothers me about the NBC poll numbers. 56% of people use AI, but 46% of them feel negative about it. That tells me people are using AI out of obligation, not intention. They're reacting to pressure instead of building a strategy. The difference between anxiety and confidence here is not talent. It is not age. It is not how technical you are. It is whether you have a system or not. That is it. The Anthropic data says nobody is getting fired yet, but hiring is slowing down by 14% for young professionals in exposed roles. The window is open. It will not stay open forever. And when it closes, the people who build a system will be on the inside. The people who spend 3 years randomly asking ChatGPT questions will not be. So here's what you walk away with today. 3 major stories broke this week confirming that AI is reshaping white-collar work right now. Not in 5 years, now. But the data also shows that nobody is getting mass fired yet. You have time. The question is whether you use that time to build a system or waste it, hoping things go back to normal. And they won't. If you want to build that system properly, we've created a full course program called the ICOR Journey that walks professionals like you through the entire process, from mapping your workflow to building your system to adding AI on top. It is designed for people who are done guessing and want to get this right. And if you want to keep going right now, watch this next video where I break down the exact setup I use daily and how every tool connects into one system. I catch you up there.